Welcome to the 359. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
And I'm Dan Ackerman, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Dan. We had the Samsung Galaxy Fold in our New York office for the first time yesterday with mobile reviewer Jessica Dolcourt putting it through its paces. Dan, you had a chance to fold it,
and
test it out.
And fold it again, and unfold it again.
What did you think?
It's indeed a foldable phone.
The phone folds.
Does what it says on the box. I was struck by a couple of things. Number one, it's pretty thick when you fold it. It's a big, chunky, it's almost like an old flip phone. And there's an extra screen on the outside that gives you some limited interaction and information in a long sort of, it's taller than it is wide. It's a more sort of like letterbox on the side. And I like that thinner look. I thought that was an interesting form factor that we have not played with for a long time since people had candy bar phones. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested in more like that. That was almost more interesting than the screen on the inside, which when you unfold it is a little bit smaller than an iPad mini screen. It's actually pretty big. Has a bit of an odd touch to it because it's more plasticky feeling.
Yes,
that's
how they get it to fold.
Yes, but you could tell there's already a crease in the middle, and if you run your finger over it, it's there. You can tell there's something going on in the middle. I don't know how well those pixels or that touch response right in the middle especially is going to wear over time.
Yeah, I definitely did notice the crease. It is not terribly significant. It's a bit more of like a hairline crease as opposed to like a hinge.
But that's on day one. What's it going to be on day?
That's a great question.
6 months in a year. And how do you fix these things? And if you drop it, will it crack? Or is it more plasticky so it won't crack?
The issues of durability are absolutely some of the concerns that people have. One of the things that I actually liked about the phone was it creates the hinge creates a very satisfying click. When you open it and close it, granted, it's not worth $2,000 to do that kind of thing, but you do need a little bit of force to kind of click it closed, and I was definitely worried that I was breaking it when I tried to do it the first time.
It's tough to one-hand it also, and I think for a phone, you especially want, even a big phone like the giant iPhone, you want to be able to be on the train and one-hand it like this, and it's tough to do that with a bigger device like that. It's so first gen. It's like the Magic Leap in a way. Yes, you can buy it, but it's really just meant as a prototype.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next topic. Your team just updated its review of laptops with the best battery life. What did you find out?
Yeah, what we do is obviously we test the battery life of every laptop we review, and every once in a while we will go and figure out what the top performance over the past year was, or in this case, through 2018 and 2019, and we rank them, and we do it by using our standard battery test. We do several different types, but the most standard one is streaming video. So you're online, you're using the graphics that are built in, you're using the screen, you're using audio. It's a decent test. And we go through them all, and they have gotten better and better over the years, even as laptops are getting smaller and the batteries are getting smaller. I was a little surprised by the top performer, and that is a laptop you may not have even ever heard of. Mm-hmm. This is the top performer is the LG Gram 15, which is a 15-inch super light laptop from LG, and they actually do a nice job. They make some nice laptops, and they're super light. They call them the Gram because I guess they weigh a couple of grams.
When you say it did the best, what was it?
Let's
as far
take a
as
look.
How many hours?
In that streaming video test, 13 hours, 58 minutes.
So it would stream video that whole time?
Yes, correct.
And it's not some big honking laptop?
It's got a big footprint. It's a 15-inch, but it's very thin and very light. So very impressive. Number two was a laptop you would not want for any reason other than long battery life. The Asus NovaGo, which was one of those experimental laptops with the chip with the Qualcomm chip in them.
Like a mobile chip in it, or some version of a mobile chip?
Yeah, there were a handful of laptops last year that had these Qualcomm chips in them, and they were meant to be like Windows laptops that would run all day and have always-on connections, and frankly, none of them were that great. But this one ran for 13 hours and change, so that was pretty good.
If you love battery life, get that one. Otherwise, don't even bother.
Yeah, and Lenovo had a ThinkPad X1 Carbon in the top 5 at a little over 13 hours. The LG Gram 14 was number 4 at 12 and a half hours. That's just a smaller version that also is a convertible. It folds back and forth. And another new one was at number 5, the Samsung Notebook 9 Pro, the latest version of that. Samsung, of course, also makes pretty good laptops. in addition to their phones and TVs and other stuff.
So I do also want to get very quickly to a story you wrote earlier this month, also laptop related, about the controversy for the butterfly keyboard related to the MacBook. Only got time really for
everybody
a
loves to
quick
get down on
statement
that
on this.
keyboard, and I get it. It's not the world's greatest keyboard. You're not going to love it, but it's not as bad as everybody says. I think there's a lot of online drama about how terrible the MacBook keyboard is, and I've used at least 8 different laptops with that keyboard, probably one almost every day for the last 3 or 4 years, if not close to that. And I've only had a couple of sticky keys that mostly popped out by themselves just by banging on it. And, is it going to be the greatest keyboard of all time? No. Is it going to destroy your life? Also no. But I will say destroying Apple in another way. On our list we went top 25 for battery life. The highest ranking MacBook right now was at place number 10.
Yeah.
And that was the 15-inch 2018 MacBook Pro, which has the largest battery and is among the newest of MacBooks. So they used to be in the top spots all the time. Now 10th place.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. Do not buy a MacBook. Buy an Asus Nova Go. I'm just kidding. Please don't do that. If you want to read more about these stories, check them out on CNET. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Dan Ackerman.
Thanks for listening.
I was very awkward announcing myself.
Oh, that's okay. I haven't had you on in a while. Let's do it again soon.
And thanks, as always, for joining us for the recording of the audio podcast. You can subscribe to that using the links down in the description. But as always, it's time to go ahead and jump into the chat. Take your comments and questions about the topics at hand today. And boy, oh boy, do you have a few. Right out the gate from Michael Brown. The real question is, in regards to the Samsung Galaxy Fold, will anyone buy one, or will Samsung start the revolution? And will Apple end up capitalizing on it, as always?
Very good question,
Yes,
as always,
yes.
MB. Yeah, I think people will buy this. I was talking to Jessica about this yesterday, and Samsung put together a kind of silly pre-order type of thing where what you do is you pre-order the pre-order. You like set up a reservation.
Pre-orders are broken, man. I wrote that story like last year or the year before also.
What they're doing is that you do reservations to get the pre-order to actually get. I couldn't agree with you more.
It's like every time you try to order a new iPhone and all the sites crash and nobody can get on it. I'll have to resurrect that story and republish it.
So, but
pre-orders are broken.
From what she told me, it sounded like people were at least engaging in the process.
Oh, yeah.
However, just signing up for the reservation does not mean that you're about to plunk down $2,000. People may have done that just all of a sudden, but I'm personally convinced that there will be plenty of people that will buy this phone. Yes, it's $2,000, but the way the carriers operate, you portion it out over 2 years. There are probably going to be a couple deals. And we're warning people up and down about its first gen. You made a lot of very good points about that during the podcast, but I do not think that is going to prevent people from trying to be bleeding edge. And this is very much that.
In 5 years, half the phones at least will be folding dual screen phones. That's it.
Nice.
Done.
Drop the mic.
Excuse me. All right, next question from Matthew Datcher, the Datch in the chat. My question is, will the Galaxy Fold 2 be any cheaper?
Probably, yes.
Yeah, yes.
And thinner and maybe less creasy.
Yeah. And yeah, Jessica was talking also about how it was a challenge to get through. And she's a mobile phone reviewer, and the operating system was a little bit different. It was a little wonky or a little bit difficult to set up to do the multitasking with the 3 different apps going on at the same time. I mean, it's a 7.3-inch screen. How much are you really going to be doing that? I kind of feel like the value add here is like if you're using it for Google Maps, it's a much bigger map.
Or reading a book.
Right. As opposed to divvying it up into 3 different
It's
screens.
90% games, frankly.
Yeah.
It's all about Elder Scrolls Blades. That's it.
That's right. And if you love Elder Scrolls Blades, you will spend $2,000. By the way, the phone comes out later this month.
Really?
So it's, April 26th. It's a phone. It exists. It's real. It's not just a prototype, and you will be able to buy it.
Oh, it is a prototype, but they'll still charge you money to buy it.
It's a working prototype.
Yes.
Comments flooding in from an unknown anonymous user. Smart move. I tried to pre-order the foldable phone on Samsung's page, and it's already sold out. Shocking.
Yeah, you're probably going to address this too, but I'm not at all surprised about that. I feel
Yeah.
like,
There'll be an after-sale market where people sell their spots in the pre-order line, and
but there's
they're probably
so
not making that
often
many. They're
there's
probably
so
making 50
often
of
an
these.
intention to create scarcity, though. You see this with the iPhone too. Is that certain types of iPhones get sold out? We
Mm-hmm.
as reporters end up writing about it, saying, "Oh my God, there's so much demand for this."
But they
thing.
never tell you how many they made.
Exactly.
And for this thing, I can't imagine they're able to produce that many right now when they're making so
I agree.
many Galaxy phones and regular phones and Note phones.
I'm waiting for them to ramp up development on
Yeah.
the Galaxy Buds, which I have had the darndest time finding online. And if they're not able to produce those quickly enough, you better believe this double phone is not going to hit the market with any, great
Yeah,
speed.
We sold out. We made 50, but we sold out. Hey, that's still $100,000 right there.
Look, they do that on the stock market too. That's what,
yeah.
like they create some level of scarcity. It makes the stock pop, and then everybody says this was a really good day for the stock. Meanwhile, they only sold 3 of them. So, yeah, it's the same type of situation. But if you're really interested in getting the Fold, you stay persistent, stay patient. You should be able to get it. I would probably say hold off on the secondary markets. You're going to be spending so much money trying to get one, and it's already $2,000.
I'm wondering when we're going to see the Samsung black market. Some guy like out on the alley flips open his trench coat, and then inside the trench coat flips open the phone.
Yeah.
And it costs like $8,000.
I think if the trench coat, had an extra fold.
The trench coat flip.
Yeah, the trench coat flip. That would make a lot of sense.
Trench coat fold. I guess that would be the technical
trench
name.
fold.
Let's think from a marketing standpoint here, Dan. We got to keep our dignity amongst us.
Yeah.
YouTuber Boy is looking for a scratch test. D. Harris is looking for a drop test. Are you insane?
I'm
I
ready.
think we really
Let me have
only have a sample from the company now. I imagine that we probably will do some torture testing and spend the money so you don't have to do some of those things, but we're not really in the position right now. Like, we have one phone, and Jessica is doing
We're
like
not
the
breaking it yet.
basics. Yeah, we're not breaking it yet. I think we have to give this one back to Samsung. But those are definitely, I think people will absolutely want to know about that stuff, and I would anticipate CNET is going to plunk down the money, I'm sad to say, to destroy a couple perfectly good Samsung Folds.
Min.
That's it.
Not my money. Timothy Dew says, I'm really tired of a yearly release. Do you think the Fold will have an 18-month release? If so, will they have the same fanfare as before?
It's a good question. I think the yearly release, especially when it comes to the iPhone, has gotten really stale. They're just,
But
it's
Samsung does it too, though. I mean, it's
Everybody
the
does
curse
it.
of the annual upgrade cycle, where if you don't have something at the same time every year, people go, "Oh, what happened? Your company
not
falling apart?"
innovative anymore.
And then when you do have it, they go, "Well, it's not different enough."
Very true.
Yeah,
But it is kind
and
of
we saw that
annoying
with
from
the
the
iPhone
consumer.
10. The iPhone 10, this was supposed to be their big 10th anniversary thing. What exactly was different? That was literally the entire press conference was your face just now. It was okay. I mean, I wasn't really doing anything that day.
To be fair, that's my face every day around here.
This is true. I can confirm.
Next question from Michael Brown. Has anyone used it for 24 hours straight or used it as their primary device with their primary apps? What was Jessica's
We
process?
literally just got it. We literally just
think
got
we've
it
had it for-
yesterday.
I think we might be at 24 hours right now.
Yes.
As
Yeah,
Zipper
sounds
was
about
playing.
right.
But
She's-
no, not
she's-
yet.
Because we were
typing with
unboxing
it.
it this time yesterday.
Yeah, she's typing with it. She's tweeting with it. We're sorry to tell you that she left early this morning. Otherwise, we would have had it on the show. We would have loved to show it off to you guys. But it's still very, very early days. And yeah, I think the big warning, the big takeaway here is that this is first gen. It's also very expensive. The only people that should buy this phone are the ones that are really excited to try it for the first time. It was fun for me to try out,
Yeah,
for
but you wouldn't buy
sure.
it.
But yeah, like I'm not gonna live my life on that phone, not this time around. But I agree with you. Over a 5-year cycle, a lot more polish and a lot more
Thinner,
improvement. It could
It's pretty chunky.
prove to be the
It's a little bit
revolution
like
that people
a
expect it to be.
like a Nintendo DS. It's chunky.
Yeah. Speaking of chunky, we should at least address this giant honking thing that you brought with you.
Listen, everybody likes a nice big gaming laptop, so I'm very excited to be playing with the Alienware Area 51M.
She's a thick girl.
That's
Yeah.
right, but very modern
Two
at the same
Cs.
time. Much Much more streamlined design than you're used to from big 17-inch gaming laptops. Hex,
Can you really use
little
the
fan
phrase
vents on the
streamline in this
lights up in all
instance?
kinds of crazy ways. I forgot to plug it in for about 5 minutes, so the battery's already gone, so I can't turn it on right now. But there it is.
Yeah.
If you want to spend $4,500 on a laptop.
What? That's $4,500?
No, for this, they start at about 21.
Okay. All right. Slightly better.
But
Dan, I was going to say, can you close that? Because we can't see you.
Oh, the key is, though, desktop processor, not a laptop processor.
Nice.
And you can actually open it up and change the processor later, and you can even change the graphics card, which is something you really can't do on laptops, as soon as they invent a follow-up graphics processor that supports the same basic socket.
Okay, those things are all impressive, but I'm not spending that much on a gaming laptop. Plus, I know you've reviewed other gaming laptops that are around that price point that are not so humongous. I think Razer does a
That's
good
true.
one.
This is huge because it's got desktop parts inside, and it needs the additional space and cooling. If you made this with laptop parts inside, they have a Alienware, M17 that's,
Stealth.
whatever.
I think that's what you guys
20
call it, right?
millimeters. No, that's somebody else's thing.
But it's like it's a gaming laptop that doesn't look like a gaming laptop.
This does.
Yeah, oh, it sure does.
It sure does.
Yeah.
God, the thing's such a monster. All right, back to the Samsung Galaxy Fold. Everyone is talking about the satisfaction of that folding snap.
Yeah.
You think flip phones are actually going to make a legitimate comeback? And Lost Legacy expands on this, asking, will the Fold eventually kill the Note line?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, the future of displays is flexible, but that's probably, that could be 10 years, 20 years, 25 years.
There's no stylus on this one, so the Note will continue to exist, and we'll see if for whatever reason it starts to cannibalize into the Note. We'll see if Samsung decides to try to make minor differences or merge them to try to maintain the Note line or not.
By then, your phone will just be beamed directly into your retina by your
or it'll just be your
headband.
eyeball. Yeah, you'll
Robot
go to
eyeball.
Verizon. You go to Verizon. They'll give you a new eyeball every year.
I'm sorry, you need a new SIM card for your eyeball.
Yeah, and like this eyeball, you still need to pay off the last eyeball
They come
before you
take it
get the
back.
new eyeball. Yeah, so
They come at you with a cherry pitter.
but I don't see the Note line getting replaced by this anytime soon. But it is definitely something to consider for the future.
More questions about the Fold. Go figure. What was it like having the phone in the office, and how were coworkers and people reacting to it?
There was
around?
a reaction. There was a
everybody
reaction.
wanted to see it, wanted to play with it. Everyone took their chance to take a selfie with it, etc. You can see my little video with it on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Danak. And
yeah, I got a chance.
everybody wanted to play with it.
Yeah, when Jessica was there, I was like, "Oh, is that the Fold? Can I hold it? Can I try it out?" And yeah, like I said, it was. You do need to do a little bit of force to actually close it. And because I knew it was really expensive, we only had one of them. I was like, I hope I'm doing this right. And then yeah, once you do actually fold it, it does provide that satisfying click. So there are, I think, a handful of things that they did right in the first go around, but yeah, it still needs a lot of polish. It's still very early days for this type of concept.
Definitely. Ryan says, I'm sure someone has mentioned this, but that front screen is way too small. I understand it's the first generation, but do you think this is going to impact sales, or do people just really want that novelty?
It's different. The front screen is kind of an add-on. You almost don't even expect it to have it. You just open it up and the whole screen is on the inside, just like in my wallet-style case. There's nothing on the outside. I open it up and there's my screen. I think of the folding phones as being like that. The front screen is like a nice bonus. I've seen other devices. Some laptops used to have a little tiny screen right on the back of the lid that would show you like your email or the weather. And I think that's what that is. It's just a couple of quick notifications. It's not meant to be a phone screen.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that from an engineering perspective, there was intent to make the front screen not that good because, first of all, probably to save some money. Second of all, because they want you to fold the phone open and that's how you use it.
I mean, I saw a phone once that was, I actually had it. It was a prototype from Russia, I think, and it was a regular phone screen on one side, and on the back was an e-ink screen that you could just keep on all the time, and it would display either updated info or static info where you could read a book on it, whatever, but it wouldn't hurt your battery at all. I could see a folding phone with a little e-ink display in the front that's just always on.
Right. Yeah, and Samsung is going to learn a lot more from this first generation as far as how people actually use it. Maybe they are really going to be interested in having an upgraded outside display, and they're going to have to do a better job with the second
But
generation.
if people move to watches and stuff, like that need might also go away. That glanceable need might go away. I never had a smartwatch before. I was a dedicated analog watch person, and then for my birthday, I got an Apple Watch. Now I'm all in because I'm just like, oh, there's my slacks right there on my wrist,
Right.
Which is both wonderful and horrible at the same time.
And you know, when you do have, that's a great point. If you wear any watch, including a smartwatch, you don't really need to worry as much about that front display to do quick notifications, check the time, whatever. You're using your watch for that.
Soviet Russia phone fold you. We are running out of time, so let's slam through a few more questions. Mark Dibble asks, does it fold flat or is there an air gap on the hinge side?
Minor air gap. There is a very, there's not much of one, but there is a tiny little gap.
You can look at it right there.
Oh, let's see. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's
I know what you
not
mean.
super noticeable, but it is there. The other thing that I want to mention is that
When
there's
you
no
open
headphone
it, the screen
jack.
is flat.
When you open it, the
it
screen
goes
is flat.
completely
There's no,
flat.
yeah.
Although you can still feel a little indentation.
Yeah. I was a little surprised that, you know, during the demos that Samsung was showing, it looked like when you opened it, there was no crease at all.
Of course not.
So there's like this very thin crease. It's this paper, like if
mean,
you
that's
fold a
physics,
piece of
you
paper,
know?
of course, absolutely. If you fold a piece of paper and then you unfold it, that's the kind of crease that you're looking at
Until
here.
they can make it out of T1000 liquid metal.
Exactly. And then it will try to take over the world. So you don't want that to happen. But yeah, there is a bit of a crease there. Jessica, and I think you mentioned this too. If you move your hand lightly over it, you're not really going to notice it. But I mean, like, people want a certain level of perfection when you're spending that kind of money.
I like this comment from Mark Dibble. Says, now D-bags have something even bigger to palm and hold and have their loudspeakers on while out in public.
Correct.
What were you saying about? I didn't notice the headphone jack thing. So no headphone.
There's
jack?
no headphone jack.
So it's just Bluetooth only.
It's Bluetooth, and I think they have a USB-C. You know, so
Okay,
you could do
okay.
that. You have to. I mean, at first I was a little annoyed about that, and then I realized these are folks that are spending $2,000 on a phone. You're probably going to get Bluetooth at that point. It's going to cost you an extra $130, $150, and from a consumer perspective, that is not going to break the bank for those types of customers. So, do you really need a headphone jack for those folks?
I don't know.
No.
I'm one of those people who still thinks headphone jacks are pretty darn useful.
I agree, but for this phone, people are going to spend a little bit extra to get Bluetooth. Like, but for most scenarios, if you're buying $700 phone,
Sure.
whatever, they should have a
Yeah.
headphone jack. Come on. But for this, I would change my tune.
Muzzy Zom says, I like the concept of it being a folding small tablet, but the phone size is just way too fat for me. I think a lot of people are kind of on board with that sentiment where, yeah, this is cool technology, but I don't really want that in my pocket right this second.
It's not jeans pocketable.
Yeah, it's still two phones. We're not really at the point where this is a foldable phone, like a foldable single phone. It's two phones slapped together with like a foldy display.
I mean, it's like a Kickstarter It's like they put it on Kickstarter, but the Kickstarter is their own pre-order page, and they're just kind of playing around with it.
Yeah. People will buy this phone, by the way.
Of course, people buy all kinds of stuff.
I'm quite sure of that.
Think Roger's going to get one?
No, because it's not Apple.
You think
He's
Alfred's
going to
get
get the
one?
Apple Card. He's definitely getting the Apple Card. I feel very sure of that.
You and I both know as well as Roger does, once you enter the parent zone, the $2,000 electronics purchases are not quite as freewheeling as they used to be.
It's true.
You do need that spousal approval factor.
I agree. He could, in theory, justify the purchase because he is, our top news editor. So he needs to be able to credibly talk about that.
Don't buy it.
No.
No.
I would love to see it more in the office.
In my case, I'd have to come up with $4,000 because there's no way I can get a fancy phone and the wife not also get the same fancy phone.
It's a painful amount of money.
I know. Well, we can't one up each other with electronics.
Yeah.
We're both.
It's just
we
not
both
fair.
want to have the best.
It's just not fair.
All right, almost out of time. Matthew Datcher, does someone know the dimensions of the Fold? How thick is it when it's folded? I ask because I see complaints about how thick it is, but I doubt it really compares to the Trio 700 that I once carried around for perspective.
I love my pre-iPhone phone was a Treo 650 with the big nubby antenna that I think I dropped down the elevator shaft here in the building about 12 years ago.
I wish I could have been there for that.
I just went
that's a good
bounce,
question.
bounce, whoosh, and right down.
As far as how thick it is when it's folded, I'll send that question to Jessica. It's a 4.6-inch outside display, 7.3-inch inside display. But as far as how, like that
dimensions?
Specific question, the dimensions
Like
when you
edge
fold
to
it,
edge
I
on
don't
the hinge,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, but you know, people will be interested in that,
thick.
so I'll send it to Jessica.
Yeah, see, that's why it's great having this Q&A, because people think about stuff we might have like skimmed over in the beginning.
It's like a Toblerone bar.
Kinda, yeah.
A little more than
I never thought about that.
More
A little more than a Toblerone? Yeah.
in height.
Yeah, I think
I
you're
would
right.
love to put them together. Yeah. Now I'm getting
Candy
hungry.
versus gadgets.
Right.
Your
yeah.
podcast.
Is it the size of a Snickers bar? We'll have to put it up against a bunch of pieces of candy. Yes.
That sounds like a new show idea. We just compare phones to candy all the time.
And then like, I don't know, blindfolded try to eat whatever's put in front of us.
But you don't know which one you're going to get, the phone
Right.
or the candy.
Yeah.
Will it blend? Will it chew? Okay, let's put the Samsung Galaxy Fold discussion to rest for now. Closing comment on that. Do you think the foldable phone trend will go away in the future? I'm not interested in foldable phones. One reason is that the foldable phones will be very expensive to replace that screen. So yeah, where is the gimmick line on this?
Yeah, no, it's going to be mainstream technology. It may take 5 years or more, but
I think
they're
you're
all
right,
going to be
Dan.
like that.
Yeah.
I disagree a little bit on that. I think that there is a chance that this is a fad, very much so. If developers, if app makers, if manufacturers can't really figure out a good justification for this higher price point, and there's so much excitement and emphasis on it now this year. 3 years from now, is that momentum still going to last? So I think we're still very much in that early phase of, is it a fad or is it the future? That's what's kind of fun about writing
it may
about
not
it.
be
We
a
don't
foldable
know.
phone, but flexible screens are no doubt the future. Where
I could get on board with that.
right,
comment.
so whatever the format ends up being, it'll be a much bigger tablet size item that you carry around that still folds down or reduces in size to something pocketable.
Okay, yeah, I can live with that.
All right, real quick, let's talk about that butterfly keyboard.
Yes.
Timothy's asking, do you think
Finally.
Apple will revert back to the old keyboard
That's a
or
good
invent
question.
a
Very
new
good
one
question.
I feel like they've
altogether?
gone all in.
Chicano Vids wants to know as well if they're going to change the
Yeah.
keyboard.
They've gone all in on it. It's hard to imagine them going backwards. They may have another new design in the future, but I think that'll be a while. And frankly, they still sell a lot of MacBooks, and people complain about whenever there's any popular product, the complaints always rise to the top. No one goes on Twitter and posts that their product is working as expected.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad somebody asked about that, because from my vantage point where I'm sitting, what I thought was interesting about this controversy was that Apple does not appear to in any way be in retreat over the butterfly keyboard. They're in the third generation of it. They kind of own it at this point. I would have a hard time believing that they would go backwards and reintroduce the other keyboard. I do have the new MacBook Air.
Yeah.
It's not as satisfying as far as a keyboard is concerned, but is it going to
But it's a much better laptop overall.
It's a much better laptop. It's a way better laptop. And is it going to cause me to return that laptop? No, not really.
No, of course not.
I pull out my old MacBook Pro sometimes, which, by the way, after water damage, started working weeks
great.
later. And yeah, it's a little more satisfying. The keyboard is a little more satisfying, but ultimately, that's a 9-year-old laptop. It's slow. It groans. It's the screen isn't as crisp. So there are a lot of elements to that new MacBook Air.
And now
that
all
make
the
it-
Windows manufacturers on their super thin laptops are moving to something similar to the MacBook keyboard. They're evolving into these thinner, shallower keys.
Yeah. So
No.
are they going to figure out a way to make the click a little more satisfying?
And they
even
have.
for
Each
shallower
generation
keys?
has gotten better. And the latest one is the best because it's got that little rubber membrane that gives you a little bit of that bounce back when you press down on it. You get a little more kind of elastic feedback from
So,
it.
so the first generation was even more so like
Yeah, the
like kind of
first
that-
Gen 1, which was on the original 12-inch, was not great. But then it got better and better. And the current generation is the best, obviously, because it's also the newest, but it happens to be, you can really feel the difference.
Yeah.
All right, we are out of time, but I'm being put on the spot here by Michael Brown. Disappointed that we haven't collectively talked at all about that new Star Wars trailer. Maybe that'll
I'm
be a
not
topic
watching
for
it. That's
tomorrow. Yeah, you're not
I
a
go
trailer
no trailer
guy.
for these things.
Yeah, yeah.
Every once in a while, Avengers, no trailers. The new one. All the Star Wars movies, new ones, I watched no trailers, except for Rogue One. I did see trailers for Rogue One. I went no trailers on Blade Runner 2033.
Nice.
I went no trailers on, what was the Ridley Scott alien follow-up movie?
Ooh.
What was that
That
called?
was a good one.
The one everyone was waiting for.
With the architect in it?
Yeah.
Which? Oh shoot! We were just talking about it the other day, and now that you
Covenant,
brought it
wasn't
up,
it?
I'm brain
No,
farting.
before Covenant.
Before. Oh, geez, Dan, come on.
Because it didn't say have the word alien in the name. What the heck was it?
Oh, was it Prometheus?
Prometheus.
Yes.
Oh, that wasn't even that good of a
No,
movie.
it wasn't. But I went no trailers on that. I went total blackout because it was very exciting for me conceptually, and then it ended up not being that great. But
All right,
sometimes
this
it works
is
out.
Okay, if you haven't watched the movie, here comes a spoiler alert. So
Which one?
I don't know. Plug your ears on Prometheus.
Oh, okay. I think we're
Very
safe.
disappointed that the robot ruined everything for the humans. What was the matter with him? He was being
he?
such a jerk.
Oh.
The whole time he's infecting everybody. Why are you doing that?
Oh, well, have you seen Covenant?
Isn't that wait? Oh yeah.
That's the next one.
Yes, and then he becomes like their leader or something.
Well, he's just a worse robot.
We made you, robot. Why are you being a jerk? I did not appreciate that very much.
If only John Connor had that line of argument.
All right, so this is completely derailed. Michael
You know
Brown,
what? You know what?
Seems
We'll
right.
we'll get Roger back in here to talk about Star Wars trailer. He really likes talking about the trailers a lot more.
I'm not watching the trailer.
He's very
I'm going
excited
nothing.
about trailers.
I've
Yeah.
seen no Endgame, no new Star Wars trailer.
I haven't seen the Endgame trailer. I think I saw the Star Wars trailer. I don't remember it very well, honestly. Yeah.
I just want to go in fresh.
It was
I
great.
think trailers are
There
poorly
was
made
actually-
these days. They reveal too much.
It was pretty cool. I remember the one part of the Star Wars trailer where there was an army of Yodas that was
Hey,
attacking
come on!
stormtroopers. There were
Oh,
about
you're making that up.
3,000 Yodas.
I hope you're making that up.
Of course I'm making it
Oh
up.
man,
There's
that'd
one
be
Yoda.
awesome.
That would be awesome. 3,000 Yoda
Yes!
attackers.
Listen, the greatest moment in the prequel trilogy was the Yoda Christopher Lee fight.
Oh, I
with the
hated
Yoda
that.
death scream.
I thought it was so stupid.
Oh no, that's the
Everybody else liked it.
Yes.
Everybody else thought it was so cool.
best. So cool.
I did not like it at all. I thought it was really silly that Yoda can move like that.
It was a long time ago. Well,
He was still
20
like
years.
400 years old. Whatever.
Listen, between 400 and 420, let me tell you, that's where things really start to go downhill. All right, are we done here?
Ben,
Can I gotta.
Dan wants to leave.
Ben, for the record, Yoda's species is not called Yoda.
Yeah, that's
What is
right.
the Yoda species?
It
I
doesn't
wanna
have
know.
a name. They purposefully have excluded it.
But they've had other members of that species pop up here and there.
Really?
One.
Yoda had a girlfriend?
Was there Yaddle? Was
Yaddle.
that her name? Oh,
Yeah,
it was
she was
Yaddle.
also on the Jedi Council.
Yeah.
Was that Yoda's girlfriend or not?
No.
You know,
They were just friends.
there might be a little slash fiction to that effect. out
They
there.
went to dinner together.
Let's just let J.K. Rowling take it over and find out they had a massive orgy.
Oh my god.
Anyways, Michael Brown, check me out on Twitter later. I'll probably tweet something about my theories about the trailer and what's going to come up. I had a really good discussion with Bridget and one of my friends the other day. So yeah,
Good.
we'll talk on Twitter without ruining everything for Dan. But we are out of time. So Ben, take us out of here.
Hey, I got a plug too.
You do?
Yes.
You want? Okay, we'll do it after.
If anyone is still okay, go ahead.
Yes, I'll do this part. The 359 is available on iTunes, TuneIn, FeedBurner, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, and the Amazon Echo, and of course CNET.com. And we've got a plug coming.
Well, if anyone is still watching, the other greatest podcast on CNET Book Club is available
That's right.
all the same places.
CNET Book Club, check it out. Also,
I feel like reading.
buy Dan Ackerman's book,
Oh, thank you.
The Tetris Effect.
You're sweet.
And thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care, folks. See you tomorrow.